Hey, horror fans, how's it going? It's Jay back with another review. I'm doing this one for the Horror Movie Review Maniacs group on Facebook. They have some movie clubs inside the group. They do different challenges and things like that. One of the things they do is, they have like a movie watching club. And every week somebody gets to pick the movie that we watch and we review it. And this week the film was picked by Kelly Cassia, I believe. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, Kelly, I'm sorry. Um, and she chose 2018's The Night Shifter, which is on Shudder. You guys can go on Shudder and watch it if you want to check it out. Um, so The Night Shifter is a story about a guy named Stenio, and he is a nighttime technician at a morgue, and he has this gift. You could call it a gift or a curse, maybe, that allows him to talk to the dead. As they're brought in, he can kind of hear their last words, and almost like their, confession to an extent, somewhat. And so this is an element we've seen before in other things, but this film does take it a different direction than what you're expecting, and I do appreciate that. So what happens here is we meet Stenio first, and we see his gift and how it works, and then we get to learn a little bit more about him. We see his home life, and we meet his wife, Odette. And Odette is probably one of the most despicable characters in horror movie history. She is a tyrant at home. She runs Stenio down, calls him disgusting, complains about the way he smells from work. She's, pretty mean to the kids. The kids reciprocate that. They're not too fond of her either. And so it's not a great home life, right? And then a couple days pass, and we see that Stenio comes home to find that she's bought a brand new, super expensive couch, and she's moving it into the house. And he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, no, no, no! I can't afford this. I'm paying the rent here, and that's about all I can afford right now is what we got." And she tells him, "Well, don't worry about it. I'm taking care of it. I'm working for the baker down the street. I'm helping him make his sweets." And so instantly he kind of knows something's up because she doesn't make enough money, or nobody would make enough money at a bakery to afford this on a payment plan. So he kind of knows something's up right away. And I mean, we all kind of know it too because her attitude towards him and everything. It's pretty obvious that she's sleeping around. And so a gang member comes through the morgue, and I think he's an old friend of Stenio's or something like that. And they start to have a conversation. And the dead guy basically tells him, "Look, man, you don't know much about women. Your wife is obviously sleeping with the baker, right? And everybody, knows it, but you're looking like a fool here." And so he thinks about it quite a bit, and he plots revenge, right? And so he goes to the departed gang member. He goes to his brother and tells him all this information that he got from the guy while he was dead, so it makes it seem like, they were super close and all that. And then he tells him that the guy who snitched his brother out is this baker who's having sex with his wife, of course. So he sets these gang members against the guy who's having sex with his wife. And then in the next part, we see this baker, I believe his name is Jaime, and his wife, and Stenio's wife, Odette, and they're having sex, and she's upset with the fact that it doesn't seem like he can perform that well. And he tells her, "Well, you got your kids' names tattooed on you, and it's kind of hard to keep doing what we're doing, and know that. And also, your husband came by the store today, and he was acting all weird and staring at me, and I think something's up." So before he drops her off, he tells her that they're finished. He can't keep going with that, and it doesn't make a ton of sense anyway. This guy, Jaime, is probably 10 years older or 15 years older than both of them. And I mean, I'm not I'm not in the business of judging guys' looks or anything, but I would assume that for most women, Stenio would be far more attractive than this older man who's, you know, But anyway, as they're exiting the car, they're sitting in the car and they're talking about breaking up, how they're not going to do this anymore, and she's begging him not to leave her, and she can't stand her husband. She wants to leave him, and then these gang members show up while they're parked, and I thought the film was going to take a different turn here. I expected the gang members to kill them. But then I thought that was going to be what Stenio was going to have to deal with, was that these gang members were going to find out that he had basically lied to them to set them down this path. And what happens is very different than that, okay? They kill the baker, and Odette, being the loudmouth that she is, she's shooting off at the mouth. All the cops are coming. I'm going to tell on you. I don't know who would, in their right mind, would think that's smart when there's 4 gang members standing around. And so, yeah, they just pop her. They shoot her right in the head and leave her there. And so when Stenio comes home, he's heartbroken. He hadn't planned on that. He had planned on them killing the baker, but not his wife. At first, he's heartbroken about it. But then as he talks to her after she's passed away, he realizes that she hated him. She didn't have any respect for anyone. She was a totally self-consumed, selfish person who thought she was like the most beautiful woman that ever walked the earth or something, and that he owed her everything. And so he kind of gets, he's like, you know what? It is what it is. You got what you deserved, right? And kind of kisses her on the forehead and says, see you when I see you, And so this is where the story actually starts, guys. I mean, it started before this, but this is where it really takes off, because Odette ain't having it, man. She comes back from the dead and starts to haunt Stenio and his kids, and there's another woman who lives next door or close by named Lara, and she's a younger girl who's kind of been watching what's going on, and I think she was very aware that his wife was cheating on him, and she knows that Stenio's a pretty good guy, and now he's in this weird situation where he's, trying to raise these kids by himself, but he's also got to work nights, and so she kind of starts hanging around to help out, and Stenio appreciates that. There is one thing I will say I liked about this movie is there's no romantic relationship between these two. You feel like there might be, and there is one scene where it starts to go that way, but it's just a setup for something else that's going to happen. And so I appreciated that, because logically I don't think anybody, well, I can't say anybody, because there's a lot of guys out there who we all know they plan the murder of their wives, and it's not because they're waiting to run off with some other woman. They probably already ran off with her a few times before this, right? Scott Peterson and so on and so forth. We've heard that story a million times, but this one's different, and they don't. He needs her in his life, and I think she wants to help him and be a friend. And maybe there was a chance originally that something else would happen out of that, but there's too many other things going on for that to be considered much. But yeah, Odette is back with a vengeance, and she's trying to make Stenio look crazy. She's pulling a lot of paranormal tricks and stuff like that to make it look like he's nuts and nobody believes him. Which some of this I don't understand, because there are things that happen in front of other people and then they still don't believe him. There's one moment where he's not even there and the kids are attacked, and the girl Laura is attacked. A giant, china cabinet is basically pushed in front of the door by nothing to block her from being able to help the kids. And so they see all this, and it still seems like they don't really believe him that much. The kids kind of start to come around a little bit, but the story moves on, and Odette just doesn't give up. I mean, I don't necessarily understand this part, because it's like, I don't know. It's similar to me like the Freddy thing. It's like, I don't understand how people who have not been necessarily wronged, how that is a plot point where they come back and terrorize people sometimes. But, because, yeah, is it messed up that he had his wife murdered? I would say so. That's not the best way to handle that situation. You can get a divorce. Even if you're poor, you can get a divorce. I got divorced, and when I left, I just left. I was like, I don't want to fight about anything. You can have it all. You can have my stuff if you want it. That's how bad I want to go. So, yeah, I think that it's a little odd that people who have not necessarily been like if she'd never done anything wrong. She's the mother of his children, and he flat out had her murdered in an evil way. I could understand there being a curse or something like that, but in this, it's just like she's evil. She was evil in life. She's evil in death, and she has no regard for anyone. Like she goes after the kids hard. She tries to murder the children several times and tells them that she will if she doesn't get what she wants. And what she wants, what she says she wants, which I feel like is just bullshit. She's just trying to get him to do something that's going to cause him to get in trouble or be executed. But she tells him that she wants him to murder this young girl, Laura, and that her blood, if he puts her blood on his hands, that she will leave him alone. Well, he refuses to do that, and so she just keeps coming at him harder and harder. And then we draw to the end, and the last 20 minutes of the movie work really well. The end sequence of the movie is really good. It's very fast paced, and it's kind of like one thing after another. And she tells him, like, if you don't do what I want you to do, none of you will live through this night. And so you can only imagine where that goes from there, that night is hellacious for them. And so we get to the end. I'm not going to give the end away. I don't necessarily know that there's a ton to give away, but I'm still, I don't want to tell the last scene or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, like, the beginning of the movie, I really enjoyed. It's building up. It's showing you these things you've seen before with the coroner or the morgue guy, of course, who can talk to the dead bodies. We've seen that in TV shows and in movies and stuff like that. And then it takes this little twist where he's talking to the gang member, and that's all interesting, and how that plays out is all interesting. But there's a lull. The movie's like, it's close to 2 hours long. It's about 1 hour and 50 minutes. And there's a lull in the middle that's just, I mean, it's just the same thing over and over again. It's Odette trying to prove that she can hurt him, that she's going to make everyone think he's crazy. And these scenes just come one right after the next, after the next, after the next. And it seems to be like a little bit too much. It's like you could have cut 2 or 3 of those things and went on to the... because there's different things that happen. There's even like a slight bit of possession here. There's, paranormal stuff. There's a lot of different elements there. And it feels like a couple of them could have been cut back and pushed. The movie could have been pushed, it would have flowed better, in my opinion, had they cut a little bit out of the middle. This movie's 1 hour and 50 minutes or 1 hour and 52 minutes or something like that. I think if you cut it down to 1 hour and 35 minutes, it's very impactful. It works, and the dominoes fall without you sitting there waiting to see what's going to, how is this going to happen? What's going to happen next? And that's not so bad, but when it's just the same thing over and over again, and you're looking for the road that's going to take us to the resolution of the film, it gets a little, aggravating. But overall, I will say this: the film is a great paranormal story. Other than like I said, there's a few elements we've seen before, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot, especially the beginning and the end. There are things in the middle that works, but like I said, it's just like the long part of the movie that maybe could have been condensed a little. But yeah, there's some decent gore scenes in this. I mean, not anything too amazing, but some decent effects. Some decent ghost effects and stuff like that. It's just, it kind of loses me a little bit with the character stuff, because it is to me like, why would this be allowed to happen? I mean, there's no explanation behind this curse or anything like that, and nobody else that he deals with comes back from the dead. They're all evil. Some of them are evil too. They're gang members and other things, and I mean, the baker doesn't come back after him. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There is a little subplot thing with their wedding ring. It kind of reminded me of Drag Me to Hell, to be honest with you, a little bit, that part. But yeah, I'm going to give The Night Shifter from 2018, I'm going to give it 7.5 out of 10, guys. And I think, honestly, for some people, that may go up another whole point, like to 8.5 out of 10. And then for some people who don't like subtitles, because the film is completely subtitled, they're not going to enjoy it as much. Okay, the film, it's a Brazilian film, if I'm not mistaken, that's where it was initially released in 2018 in Brazil. And the language is Portuguese, which threw me off a little bit because it's not exactly Latin, right? It's not. Like a lot of times when I watch movies that have Spanish language, I've taken a little bit of Spanish, and I know I can make some things out. And with this language, with this particular language, Portuguese, I had more trouble. There were a few things when they would say this or that, and I'd be like, okay, I know what that means. But there were some things I was like, I have no idea what they're. I mean, I'm glad I had the subtitles because there was no way I could have got through it just watching it. But yeah, so if you don't like subtitles, maybe it's not for you. But I always say give it a chance. Even if you don't like subtitles, movies can suck you in. But this one, I think that's another problem it has being so long, an hour and 50 some odd minutes or whatever, that you have to read it all. And that's not a problem for me. But when you start showing me the same stuff over and over again, my eyes start going like this. And I will admit, the first time I watched this movie, I fell asleep. And I wrote a short review of it that I wasn't satisfied with. I felt like I needed to give it a second chance. I didn't sleep through the whole thing. I fell asleep. I have no idea how long I was asleep because I fell asleep in the middle. When I woke up, it was closer towards the end. But yeah, it's a good film. I'll give it 7.5 out of 10. No film is perfect, in my opinion. And I think a lot of you guys out there, if you like paranormal horror, you're going to like this one. And it's different. It's not like really anything you've seen before. It reminded me of a lot of different things. And like I said, even to an extent, it reminded me of Freddy Krueger, because here's a guy who, was he wronged? Yeah, I guess burning him alive in a shed probably wasn't the best way to handle it, but I'm not going to argue with parents whose kids have been murdered or, sexually assaulted or anything like that. If that's what they feel like they need to do, then, so be it, And I think I kind of had that same reaction in this case, where it was like, should you set thugs out, against your wife and her lover? No, that's probably not the best way to handle anything. But then you always have that little voice in the back of your mind. It's like, I understand, though, right? I understand why you did that. And not that it was a good decision, and you're probably going to have to deal with some kind of consequence. But I honestly thought the consequence was going to be the gang coming back on him, and maybe her actually becoming a good ghost and protecting the kids or something. But no, she's a terrible. Why should you be any different when you're dead, right? And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's because she was a terrible person in life that she was stuck where she was in death, and so she, used that opportunity to terrorize people. So yeah, guys, 7.5 out of 10 for me. The Night Shifter from 2018, directed by Denison Romalo. Stars Bianca Comparato as Lara, Daniel de Oliveira as Stenio, and Fabio Naskimir. Okay. Yeah, Odette. Stars Odette. I'm terrible. I'm terrible with names. And it used to be the Italian ones that really tore me up when I was in my 20s and 30s and I started watching the Italian films. But I think I've learned all those by now, right? I've seen all those movies, and I've kind of learned that, the way those names are pronounced. And so I'm going to have to brush up on some of my other ones, like my Asian horror films, my Spanish horror films. I got to work on the names, right? So yeah, guys, that's all we got for today. I highly recommend the movie. I think everybody should check it out, give it a look. It's definitely going to, like I said, 7.5 for me, and you guys heard the problems I had. I feel like a lot of people won't have those same problems, and the movie may inch up closer to 8 or 8.5. I believe it's like, it's got a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, which is, that seems a little low to me. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 92%. That seems a little high to me. So I would split the difference there and say, 7.5 to 8. And guys, I'll be back. I have a few more movies to talk about today. My next film I'm going to be talking about is I Saw the Devil from 2010, and I'm doing that one for my 25 films from 25 countries challenge that I'm taking right now. I got a lot of stuff going on, and I'm getting behind on that one. And what I was doing was writing those reviews and then doing videos of them. But I've gotten behind. I think I'm only at 15. I got to get to 25 in the next week or so. So I'm going to do the videos, and then I'll go back and do the other videos retroactively after I'm done. Yes, I'm cheating. It's just easier to do a video. I find it much easier these days for me to just talk to you guys about the movie, just have a conversation with you, because we're all horror fans, and it's a lot, easier to take when you have more time to describe how you feel about something than just pigeonholing yourself into 2 paragraphs or something like that. Guys, I will talk to you the next time I got something we're talking about, and it ain't going to be too long, because like I said, I'm behind on movies and reviews and all that, so I'll be back soon. We'll see you then. Bye.